Good to see everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend. For the dads, hope you had a great Father's Day. All righty, let me see. Let me just close this a little bit, and we get started. All righty then. So let's see here. So please remember to chat in anything you've got, or questions, or comments, or observations. It's always good to hear from everybody. And like I said, good to be with everybody. Happy Monday. And wow, Maura's outside. That looks great. Good for you. That's exciting. Feels so good having the warm weather. So today we're going to talk about imagination and how we can kind of leverage imagination to see a new future for ourselves, for loved ones, for events, circumstances, whatever, wherever we might feel that we need to leverage our imagination. And so I borrowed a definition from our good friend Merriam-Webster, and I love this definition. I'd never seen this before. I've never really gone to look for a dictionary definition of what is imagination. And so just to kind of paraphrase it here, so the act or power of forming a mental image of something not present in the senses, not present in your senses, or never before wholly perceived in reality. That was that. I read that. I did this on Sunday, yesterday morning, and I was going through it, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And so think about what imagination is, right? It's forming a mental image that you've never wholly perceived before in reality, right? And when we think about it, everything around us, and we've talked about this before, for those of you who might remember, everything around us came from someone's imagination, whether it's this computer, the shirt I'm wearing, Bill's background, I mean, it doesn't matter. Everything that we have today came from someone's imagination. It didn't just materialize, right? And so our imagination is how we create a new future. Could be big things, could be little things, okay? Could be highly personal things that you don't really share with anybody. But if we want something to be different and we want a different outcome, then we have to live in imagination. And I have this quote that I came up with that I've always frankly, I probably use it more with myself than anybody else, right? Is that no one ever accomplished anything of measure while they're in their comfort zone. And so when we're in our comfort zone, we don't necessarily, we're not necessarily creative. We don't necessarily imagine. And so for us to be able to use our imagination, we have to get outside of our comfort zone. And if you go back to the Merriam-Webster's definition, okay, is not in reality, right? Not in your known reality. So if we want to leverage our imagination, we have to get out of our known reality, which means we have to get out of our comfort zone. And I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about comfort zone, growth zone, and danger zone, because I think that it's important, right? So we all know what our comfort zone is. Our comfort zone is that space where everything is automatic. We don't have to think too much about it. Whether we are or aren't, we see ourselves to be safe. When we're in our comfort zone, it tends to be known to us and very definable. I would argue your comfort zone isn't very safe. A lot of people look at their comfort zone and they think it's safe because it's familiar. But if you stay in any one place too long, okay, that typically doesn't necessarily denote safety, right? Because the world's moving along, right? And so your comfort zone is a place where you're probably least likely to be thinking about imagination, right? When I'm in my comfort zone, I'm probably least likely to be like stretching myself. Then you go from your comfort zone to your growth zone. So now we're slightly uncomfortable. We're kind of in new territory. Maybe we don't feel as safe, but we don't feel threatened. But this is a stretch, okay? Um, and then your danger zone, of course, is when you're completely out of your element. And although you're physically probably not in danger, okay, you're in either one of these three stages. You're not physically in danger per se, but in your danger zone, this is hard work, and I'm not sure I can do this, and I'm very uncomfortable, right? And that's probably the best way to look at it, right? So that difference between your comfort zone and your danger zone is your comfort zone, of course, is what your comfort level is. The danger zone is you're uncomfortable, and there's a somewhere in the middle, and that's your growth zone. And they've done a lot of work with athletes and stage performers and people like that who who in their mindsets before they go to perform, okay? And when you're talking to somebody who from a physiological perspective, when you're talking to somebody who is getting excited, okay, about I don't know, let's just say an athletic event. And so what happens? Our heart's racing a little bit, palms are a little sweaty, breathing's up a little bit, but they've labeled it excitement. Now, if you take somebody else, okay, who let's say is talking on stage for the first time, and which having I remember my first time, and it can be very daunting, right? Well, the first time they're doing something, well, what's happening? Well, their heart's racing a little bit, their breathing's elevated, their palms are a little sweaty, right? They label it nervousness, but nervousness and excitement are the same thing. From a physiological perspective, your body doesn't know the difference. It's simply how you've labeled it. So if I'm an athlete or a stage performer, before I go on stage, I'm excited, okay? I might have the exact same person and or take the exact same person, and if they labeled it nervousness, all right, then it's an entirely different view on things, right? So excited to do something new, or something that's going to give you pull you out of your stretch zone, or if I'm nervous, it could be the same physiological traits, but it's simply about how we've labeled it. So in our comfort zone, it's hard. It's probably not the place where we're going to get, really that imagination, because imagination requires us to be outside of our comfort zone. We have to let go of the known for us to get to the unknown. Right? We have to let go of the known to get to the unknown, and that's where we have our imagination. And everyone's kind of heard this before. There's the comfort zone, and then there's life. And life lives outside of the comfort zone. And so the things that we find, the things, if we could take a look at our lives, and the things maybe that we found comfortable, say 10 years ago. And then typically, right, and there could be in multiple stages of our lives too. It could be physical, it could be, with friends, it could be any, you could be your fitness, it could be any number of things. But when typically we progress through life, leaving one comfort zone for another. So what we found to be where we are today, 10 years ago, we might not have been able to imagine that. It might have been in our, that might have been, where we are today versus where we were 10 years ago. We might, if it was 10 years ago, looking forward, this might be my danger zone, my panic zone, okay? And so for us to really be able to create, okay, we have to leave our comfort zone, because that's where life begins, right? So if we want to imagine something different, then we have to be willing to leave where we are. We have to be able to leave the known for the unknown. And I always like this quote, not mine, but today is tomorrow's yesterday. And so the question really becomes, how many days, weeks, months do we want to go by, not imagining? And again, these don't have to be big things, we're not talking about, developing the replacement for petroleum. This could be simply, do I see myself, being old, being in good enough shape as I get older to be able to keep up with my grandchildren, or do I see myself, being able to vacation 3 weeks out of the year, whatever means something to you, right? But when do we start doing that? When do we start letting the imagination take off, right? Because a day is easy to let go by. One day goes by, then 2 days go by, then 3 days go by, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, holy smokes, it's 4 years. So today is tomorrow's yesterday, and I always remind myself of that every day that I wake up. So here are 5 simple steps to imagine a new future. So ask yourself, of course, like, where do I want to be? Now understand that the act of asking that will put you outside of your comfort zone, just by the nature of it. Okay, because it's going to put you someplace else that you're not today. So ask yourself, well, where do you want to be? Right, and imagine that. Right, reflect on where you are now in relationship to you want to be, where you want to be. So, I'm here now. I'd like to be over here. And then you have to imagine, well, what would that look like? And if you can imagine deep enough, think about even things like smells and tastes and textures and emotions, right? How will I feel every day when I take my 3-week vacation in, I don't know, Key West, or whatever the case may be? Like, how am I going to feel when I get up in the morning? Right, I got my cup of coffee and I can smell that ocean, or whatever it is. Okay, it's different for everybody. Or when I'm able to, be really active with my grandchildren, or I want to get to a different health level, whatever it is. Okay, and so what you want to do is you want to be able to imagine that, and then, and number 4, what it's going to feel like. Right, you want to be able to get as much of the feeling in you as you can, because feeling is kind of it's like an igniter, right? It's like an ignition switch. And when you can actually feel yourself there, um, then it's easier for you to kind of project into it, right? And then kind of complete the imagination process. And then lastly, you want to identify the steps you need to take in order to get there. And then, I have in quotes here, from 38 Special, which is kind of one of my favorite songs, is like, hold on loosely but don't let go. So, like you don't want to grip onto wherever you see your imagination going, wherever you see, right? You don't want to grip onto it, because you hold things too tightly, they tend not to work out well. But what you want to do is you want to keep that framework, that image, right? Letting your imagination help define where you want to be, and move through it, right? It's not necessarily a checkbox process, right? You want to be mindful of steps along the way, but you want to move through it. You want to kind of feel your way, through the process, and along the way you'll find other areas that, you might find other things that are of interest to you, that are related to it, or whatever the case may be. But you want to identify the steps, because of course you're going to want to know what you want to do, right? To get to that next place where you've imagined a different type of future, or a different type of aspect of your life. So you want to know what you have to do, but you don't want to be consumed by the steps. Okay. So that's our Imagine a New Future for Monday. Let's see if we have 4 chats. No, it doesn't look like we have any. Anybody like to add anything in? All right. Well, this was fun. I enjoyed doing this. The whole process of imagination, comfort zone, and all that. It's really practical on a day-to-day level. I know when we talk about imagination, at some level, it's like, well, how practical is imagination? But remembering that everything that we do here, right? Everything that we have around us, every experience we have came from someone's imagination. And we're just as, in each one of us can imagine at the same level, okay? And we can create whatever it is we want. So, oh, and just one chat, Ali chat in, thank you for recommending Mindset. Yeah, of course, happy to. And yeah, Mindset's a great book. Yeah, excellent, good read. Cool. quick, gets right to the point. So, all right, well, have an amazing week, and we'll see you next Monday. Take care.